To be honest, right now it's very easy to get ahead of 99% of people because they don't know how to manage their time and money. In terms of money, what the 99% of people do is completely opposite of what the 1% do. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you some things that I've noticed after studying countless successful people. So I'm going to be giving you guys things that the 1% actually do with their money that separates them from the 99%. So let's get into the first one, which is lifestyle inflation. So basically with lifestyle inflation, what happens to the 99% of people is they'll essentially get a job out of college that, let's say they're getting paid $70,000 a year. And so their expenses are that they'll only have around $500. So they're making $70,000 a year. Let's say they're bringing home after taxes $56,000. That's just an estimate. So they're bringing home $56,000 every single year. So if we do 56,000 divided by 12, we are going to find that we get a monthly income of $4,666. So with $4,666, let's say their expenses are $4,000. So they're spending $4,000 off the rip, and they're left with $600 every single month that they're putting away either into investments or savings. So essentially the issue is, for a single person, you can easily tone these expenses down. Now, I'm sure if you have a family, it's going to be harder to do that. But for a single person, if you are simply just spending as much as your income will allow, there's in no way that you're going to build wealth. So what the 1% do, in contrast to spending $4,666, let's say the 1% want to have a career and that's how they want to generate their wealth. Well, let's say the same exact person is making $56,000 a year, so they're making $4,666 a month. But let's say they tone their expenses down to $3,000. So it's still a little high, but they're, in today's world, that's going to be what it is. They are saving $1,600 extra every single month than the 1% is. So essentially, in this case, they are saving around $2,000, in contrast to the other person saving around $500 or $600. So that is a pretty big drastic increase, because if you think about it, let's say the other person's making $600, or they're pocketing $600 every month. So 600 in 3 months is going to be $1,800. Well, contrast to the other person, they're putting away almost $2,000 every single month. By 3 months, they'll have $6,000, in contrast to the person with $1,800. So you can see, just like that, if you keep your expenses low and grow your income, you're going to be able to invest that money. And then eventually, this is the key thing, because you don't want to be living like this all your life. You don't want to be a penny pincher unless that's just what you want to rock with, because we have a world to go out and explore and spend money on experiences and things that interest us. Well, what you can do is, as you build this wealth, that wealth will then eventually pay for your lifestyle. So let's say you just put this money into the S&P 500, very classic example, so I'm just going to rock with it. And let's say you're getting 8% interest every single year on your money. Well, let's say we have someone who is pocketing away $2,000 every 3 months, so they're going to end up at the end of the year with $8,000 that they've invested. So obviously over time this is going to compound. So I said the wealthy person was putting away $8,000, but it's actually $19,200. So if we were to plug this in, their monthly contribution is $1,600, and let's say they're 22 years old, and in 8 years they'll be 30, with an estimated interest rate of, we'll just say 10. Basically, in 8 years, when they're 30, they'll have $236,000 just from doing that. And that's not taking into consideration their income raising or the money that they would be making if they're putting it into real estate, a side hustle, a business, whatever it is. They would be making a lot more money. Now, in contrast to the person putting away $600, they would have $84,481 by the time they're 30. So you can kind of see how that variation is. It's almost a $200,000 variation between someone who's putting in a little bit more money compared to someone who is just falling victim to lifestyle inflation. And so continuing with lifestyle inflation, basically as people's income increase, then they match their income with their expenses, still leaving the exact same amount of room. When they had $6,000 every month, well, let's say that they're getting $8,000 every single month, they're leaving themselves with the same $600 that they're putting away because their expenses keep going up as their income does. Basically, if you want to build your wealth and then enjoy luxuries in life, you're going to need to keep your expenses lower and control them as your income increases. And then eventually, let's say you're making rent money off of real estate, use that money to then pay for fun things in your life, such as a sports car, such as going somewhere for vacation, whatever it is. So that is a little bit on lifestyle inflation. This is probably the biggest one that separates the successful, wealthy people to the average Joe. So number 2 then would be using investments to pay for your lifestyle, but we already talked about that. So basically we're going to talk about debt. So basically, let's sum it up. So I'm not going to take basically everything what he said. I'm not preaching out of this book. I'm just going to kind of give an overall view on debt, what I have come to find it. So basically there's good debt and there's bad debt. So bad debt is essentially debt you have maybe on your personal home, maybe on a car of yours that you really don't need. Whatever it is the case, any debt that is for something you want, not necessarily something you need. Now, good debt in contrast is debt towards starting a business. It's debt started towards growing your real estate portfolio. So if you put down $10,000 on a $100,000 house, and that's good debt because you're renting it out. Let's say your payment is $1,000. This is just estimate, and then you're charging a rent of $1,500. Not only will you have eventually paid off your house, but your renter is going to be paying you an extra $500 that you are pocketing yourself every single month. And then after that, once it's all paid off, you get $1,500 every single month. That is definitely something that separates a lot of people as well, just how the debt is perceived. What I found of lots of wealthy people is that they get into good debt, such as starting businesses, trying things out, whereas poor people get into bad debt, such as credit cards, such as just cars, whatever the case might be, because they're not as educated. So that's definitely something that you should learn about. You should learn about debt. You should learn about how to utilize it. But you definitely want to be making smart decisions when it comes to that. So basically, another notion is following the crowd. So this is something I've fallen victim to, and I have influenced others as well in this. So basically what this means is, let's say there's a hot new crypto out there that everyone's telling you to buy, and then you're like, okay, I believe them, I just gotta go ahead and buy it. I've told people this, and I've been told this as well, and both times it's not worked. So what you need to do is, if you do hear something like this, oh, this is the new blah, 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 this is gonna skyrocket, then what you need to understand is 2 things. The first thing is that when your average person tells you to buy something, you do the exact opposite. So basically, this is if a news article is talking about this stock is gonna skyrocket, it's probably when you wanna sell. Obviously, this isn't 100% true, but with this, you just need to fact check every single quote, every single thing you have heard. You need to fact check it. You need to analyze, would this actually be a good investment? Or is this something that I see falling in price in a month or 2? So you need to do your research, because if you don't do your research, then you could end up losing 80% of your money like I did. Now, people's intentions are probably good when they're telling you to do this, but at the end of the day, really just take the time to research whatever you are going to invest in and make smart decisions based on your research. You can look at research from other wealthy people who have experience in investing. That's something that you can do, rather than just listening to someone who you know or are friends with telling you to invest in something who really doesn't have that much experience with it. That is something that you should be doing as well. Now, that's everything I have on my notes, but I'm going to throw one more thing in. So if you want to become wealthy by, like, let's say 30 years, I'm 18 right now, so in 12 years I'll be 30. What I can do right now is get in a habit of putting away a little bit of money into investments. So over time, assuming the world doesn't end or I die, I will have a significant amount of money when I'm 30. So that is something you can do that easily will blow you ahead of a bunch of other people, because at 18, or in just in your teens in general, young 20s even, a lot of people have no idea what investing is. They're still on their credit card debt, and they're just kind of cruising through life up until they're out of college and get their first paycheck. So that is something that you should definitely focus on when you're younger. Get started investing. It's a simple thing. Some people are going to say, Well, don't get started investing because you could put your money towards this and get a lot of income. I think you should do both. So I think you should put your money towards a bunch of investments and then work on developing a high income skill and work on building something that can generate you a bunch of income, where you can then take that income and put it into more assets. Those were just a bunch of tips that just came to mind when I was thinking about basically just what separates 1% with the 99%. There's a bunch of other things though, don't get it twisted. This isn't everything, but these were definitely some things that I think if you want to be successful in terms of wealth, these are just kind of the bare minimum things that you need to be taking into account for. So guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. If you did like it, I would appreciate it if you liked the video. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. But without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace.